Hello everyone and welcome to Talk Good Games match preview of Bayer Leverkusen against West Ham United, the quarterfinal of the Europa League. West Ham taking on the Bundesliga leaders and the unbeaten side by Xabi Alonso. Gonzo, can you kick us off with your thoughts on Bayer Leverkusen, please?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've had a remarkable season, and in many respects, they are the European version of Leicester City, the underdogs. And when I say that, I mean Leicester City went on to win the Premier League when nobody expected them to. It's a miraculous job there, and it's a miraculous job to beat Bayern Munich. It's a miraculous job to beat or draw against everybody. It's Union Berlin. I think they had a slender win at the weekend, which means that I think they play Werder Bremen at the weekend, which means they can claim the title then, which is early. Put it into perspective. Bayern Munich always win that title. I think it might have been 11 years in a row. It was very close last year, and I think, it was Dortmund sort of capitulated a little bit. But for them to do it against Bayern Munich is amazing. For them to do it early against Bayern Munich is incredible. It's been so incredible that actually there's been that Bayern Munich have quite a big backroom team, and there's lots of sporting directors and lots of this sort of thing going on, lots of former players, and they've been quite bitter about it. Actually, I mean, there was certainly one. I can't remember. Somebody the other day was saying about Leverkusen. How they got lucky. They've got lucky with transfers. Nobody could have seen that Alex Grimaldo would be that good. No one could have foretold that Boniface. Lots of players looked at Boniface and no one knew he was good. And what I really liked was what Rolf. Simon Rolf, I think it is the sporting director of Leverkusen, turned around and said, "Well, there's no luck involved." He said, "I've been watching Grimaldo for the last 3 years." He said, "I went over, we identified him, we watched him in Portugal, we knew he was exactly the type of player we wanted." And he sort of batted it away and pretty much said, "There's no luck involved here. It's systematic." And I wouldn't call it Moneyball because it's an overused phrase now. But what you've got is a very, very well run club with an excellent manager, an excellent infrastructure behind it, who have kicked the arses of Bayern Munich with significantly less funds. I actually think it's a miracle story.
Yeah, and Harry Kane Bayern Munich as well. They've signed a goal scorer who's broken lots of records in the Bundesliga. So they've had to contend with sort of one of the best strikers in European football at your rivals, and they've still gone on to win the league. I think it's been fantastic for German football, for European football, and I guess sort of there's examples of, as you call it, let's just say the Moneyball thing, just to keep it simple. There's examples of that being successful everywhere, and it's now being successful in the German model, and so much so it's overtaken the sort of German Galacticos, if you like. And I think it's a fantastic story. The football they play is absolutely fantastic as well. It's not like they've got to that title by playing a low block game and just winning games 1-0, but like what Mourinho would have done. They've done it in style. And like you said, it's been in plan pre-Xabi Alonso. He's just been sort of the cherry on top. He's the guy that they needed to piece it together. But again, it's another manager that had been monitoring for a period of time.
Yeah.
To come in and carry on the work that they'd already done. So in case we've got all these things in place, just need somebody to come in and take a step forward and upgrade it. That's what he's done. Now, I'd imagine, I wouldn't say luck's involved, but I would say that it's probably been a lot better than they imagined when they hired Xabi Alonso. I bet they weren't sitting there thinking, "Oh, well, we'll win the title next season. And you know what? We might also win the Europa League and the German. We'll do the treble. Oh, we'll go and beat. Yeah, we'll go and beating as well. We're going to do everything next season." So it's been a lot better than they anticipated, and possibly a bit faster than they anticipated as well. But it's been a fantastic journey, and it's definitely the best team to watch in the Bundesliga as well. I'm sort of in awe of Alonso's tactics, if you like, and the players that they've got there. Of course, some of them brought there by our sporting director as well. So it's not got enough not enough praise I could give to Bayer Leverkusen. What about the big news? So Xabi Alonso announcing he's staying at Bayer Leverkusen, turning down Bayern Munich and Liverpool in the process. I mean, huge news, but possibly unexpected.
Oh, yeah, well, unexpected for me. I thought he would, because Alonso actually has a clause written into his contract which allows him to leave for Munich, Real Madrid or Liverpool. If they come calling, he can leave. And I think it's probably fair to assume, we'll never know because we're not in the meeting rooms or anything like that. I think it's fair to assume both Liverpool and Bayern Munich would have come calling, whether they directly offered him a job, they would have picked up the phone. And for him to say no, I think is a testament to him. I think it's a testament to the club project, but also it's a testament that he feels, he probably looks around that squad and he sees top quality players. And I wouldn't mind betting that he thinks, you know what? I could go to another club, but there ain't too many clubs who've probably got a better group of players than I've got here. That the squad that's been built, and they've created them. I don't think at any point you could ever argue that they signed a world-class star. But a lot of these players have become top class whilst they've been there. And he probably looks around the dressing room and thinks, actually, you know what? With this squad, we can do even bigger and even better. And what it does by them winning the Bundesliga, at least, it insulates them from big clubs coming and picking them off. And I think the messaging to the players is, well, if the manager is not going to join Real Madrid, or he's not going to join Liverpool, or he's not going to join Bayern Munich, then as players, why should we? Because actually, everything we could do, albeit clearly those clubs can offer him more money, but everything we could do here, everything we could do there, we can also replicate here. And, you know, a team like that stays together, you have to assume that with such a good scouting department, that they will have identified some more players to come in. That squad can only get better. So I like it. I like someone seeing a project to the end, but I also like a quick project. And this is, you know, not for the infrastructure of the club. That's a long project for them. For Alonso to come in just to bring everything together. I actually do think it's incredible. I need to stop talking about him soon because, you know, it's a formidable challenge for West Ham.
I think they might rely on someone coming in and picking off one of their top players, though. It funds the next wave of players that they're bringing in. And I agree with you, they probably identified a handful of them and thought, like, those are the next ones that we're going to bring in. But they sometimes need to make a sale in order to fund that. And there's always been big sales at Bayer Leverkusen. They're not afraid to make them either, which is, you know, admirable. And it's something that I appreciate. I'm in the minority here, but I'm not fearful of West Ham doing that per se. It's just a case of, can we then sufficiently replace that player, a la Declan Rice? I think we have done. So can we do it if one of the big players leave this summer? Can we replace them sufficiently? And this is where you look at Leverkusen, and you would imagine Simon, as Gonzo calls him, would say, yes, we can. We've got no problems here. We know exactly who we're going to go get. He probably had a replacement for Xabi Alonso lined up to some extent as well. So that if he was to go, because he only decided during the March international break he was going to stay at Leverkusen, he'd go, well, that's the guy we're going to go get now. And usually it's to the Premier League, the player. Usually he comes to the Premier League. You know, Diaby, Bailey, Bernd Leno when he joined Arsenal. Brandt went to Dortmund, Son going to Spurs, Havertz, of course. So you can go back. It's usually the Premier League that go over there and pick off the big guy and pay, you know, top whack for him. But I think with the Alonso announcement, it's a bit surprising. But at the same time, you think about it, well, why would you go to Liverpool post-Klopp? That's a very difficult job. And only post-Klopp, there's question marks over Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk. There's a new sporting director going in there. Alonso knows he gets on really well with the CEO of Bayer Leverkusen. He knows he gets on really well with the sporting director at Bayer Leverkusen. I wouldn't say he's got a cushy, but he's got people who are at the top of their game in identifying player recruitment. So why would you go to Liverpool and say, oh, I don't know if you can go get the players that I need, but I know I can get that at Leverkusen? It's a gamble. Same with Bayern Munich. And the Bayern Munich job comes up every season. Every 2 seasons it comes up. If he wants to go to Bayern Munich, he can wait a couple of years and he'll get that job. And I don't think he's finished. You mentioned Leicester. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but you mentioned Leicester. But when Leicester won it, no one thought they were going to go on and do it again. Everyone thought, you've done it now. Enjoy your time in the Champions League, because in a couple of seasons you're going to be back mid-table. That's vibe's not there with Leverkusen. Actually, Champions League, they might win it next season. They might go on and win the Champions League. Bundesliga, they might go on and win that again. Retaining the title would be a huge achievement, but also competing in the best competition in world football in the Champions League. You wouldn't bet against Leverkusen going on and lifting that title, because if Leverkusen were to go play Man City this week, would you really bet against Leverkusen? I'm not sure you would, you know. You might do, but it would be close. You would expect it to be competitive. That's the Champions League winners last season. I don't think he's finished yet at Leverkusen. I think he feels that he can go further with that squad. It's just that in it to win it and all that, he can only win the competitions he's in this season. But to do that, he's got to overcome Moyes' ball, first of all. Last question about Leverkusen. Players you admire?
Well, I mean, at the risk, I mean, we could go on and on. I mean, I could honestly pick 7, 8, 9 players here. So what I'll do is I'll limit myself to 3. But before I do, what I do want to say is, obviously Tim Steidten came from this club, and you could totally understand why in the summer, and I do understand this to be the case, that Steidten and to an extent the major shareholder David Sullivan were both pushing David Moyes for a striker. But you can understand it from Steidten's point of view, because you look at them there and the way they've got Boniface, the way they've got Schick, and they've got Klosek as well. They've got 3 there. And I know they play a different system, but they are well set up. And they don't always spend a fortune on doing this stuff. So I think, firstly, you just even look at almost every facet of the team. You look at their front line, and they've been without Boniface for a little while. He's just come back.
3 months,
he's come on as a substitute in the last 2 games. But Schick has stepped up and he's been scoring as well. And they haven't missed him. And that's because of the depth of squad. So I have been thinking recently, I wonder what, Steidten's thinking, looking at West Ham and the job he's doing there, thinking, well, I don't recognise this. This is not part of the structure that I'm used to. But anyway, 3 players. Let's start with Florian Wirtz, who is just a genius. It's unbelievable to think he's 20. He can really see a pass. It's funny, a lot has been spoken about Lucas Paquetá and how everybody would be going to get him. People will be going to try and get this kid as well. He suffered a serious knee injury, and he's come back really, really well. He actually scored for France. Against France for Germany. Was their fastest ever goal, 7 seconds. If you've not seen it, go and check it out. He's a player, real life for a pass. He's excellent. Frimpong, I really like him. I could have easily picked Grimaldo, but we'll go with Frimpong for this one. Pace, direct running. Started his career, I believe, at Man City as well. I think he might have played in Scotland, played at Celtic for a little bit, Geo, so it'd be known to you. Really good player, fast, just brilliant. Every time I see him, he amazes me. He's one of those ones that you pay your ticket price to watch. And a little one, maybe, not quite with the stature of them. And to be fair, he's not always featuring, he doesn't always stand out, but someone I like and I've seen, whenever I've seen him play, I think he's brilliant, is Ezekiel Palacios, who looks like a real player. So he's really good as well. But honestly, there are loads. Not only could I have picked three more, I could have picked 3 separate ones from the ones I just did, and they'd all be equally as impressive as the 3 I just mentioned. Yeah,
I think Palacios is one of the most complete midfielders in football, to be honest with you. I think he's been an absolute fantastic signing for them. I think he's just been superb in midfield and got a good partnership with Xhaka in there. I'll take Ronaldo then. I think, again, a free signing, but we were linked to him quite a bit when he was leaving Benfica and he went to Leverkusen, and it's just his output for a left wing back is just ridiculous. He's double figures for goals and assists now. He's just insane. Good free kick taker as well. We'll get down that left side. I think Bayer Leverkusen last season were quite right-hand side heavy when they had Baker over there on the left and Frimpong on the right. But now they've sort of balanced it out, actually. And the threat down the sides, or both wing-backs, are just as good as one another and worth tens of millions. And their centre-backs are really strong too. Pick your pick. You can have Ta, Tapsoba, Hincapi, Kasunu. They're all just as good as each other. They're just littered with talent from front to back, from left to right. And their bench is just going to piss all over ours on Thursday night. When you look at our bench, you look at theirs. And the one thing that I'm intrigued by is how Alonso approaches this. He's not fielded his strongest team in European football yet. Will he do it this week? You'd imagine so, given that I know that if they win on Sunday, they win the Bundesliga, but they could lose the next 3 games in the Bundesliga and still win the title quite easily. So he's under no pressure on Sunday. He has been resting players already. He didn't play his strongest team at the weekend, and they scraped it against Union Berlin, 1-0 against 10 men, scoring a penalty. It wasn't anything fancy. But he was able to leave out some of his starting 11 and get the win and take one step closer to the winning the Bundesliga title. Anyway, enough about Bayer Leverkusen. We're going to discuss West Ham United. Before we do that, Gonzo, when we drew Bayer Leverkusen, what were you thinking? when the draw happened, and it was
shit.
Yeah, not good.
No, and it hasn't got better because we've drawn them. All you do naturally, and your curiosity as a fan is watch that team more, and they are the darlings of European football at the moment. You get a feeling within anybody that doesn't support these super clubs that actually the average fan is sick of them. They're sick of Bayern Munich. They're sick of Real Madrid. They're sick of PSG. So actually, it's not that I think the European football are anti-West Ham. They just love this story. So Leverkusen, you feel like they got almost like the power of world support behind them. Everyone wants to see them succeed. But I think particularly with FFP and everything now, Geo, as well. So, people want to see that model can work. So, I was not particularly happy with the draw. And then once as I've explored and started to watch them more and sort of discover a bit more, it's the trepidation only increases.
Yeah, initially I was a bit because I watch German football. It's the only other league I watch. It's second behind the Premier League, then the Championship. So when we drew them and Liverpool were the two I wanted to avoid. But because we avoided the Liverpool in the semi-finals as well, that gave me a little bit, okay. Then after about 24 hours, I thought, you know what? Bring them on. Just bring them on. I'm looking forward to it. It's got like a glamour tie written all over it. And, this is what European football's about. It's about winning. But we did that with the Conference League without really playing anyone. And there was an element of it's a bit too easy to some extent. There was that feeling. And it didn't hit as hard as the previous Europa League campaign where we had Lyon, Sevilla, where those games were much meatier and juicier. This one's got that. And pretty much Saturday night after beating Wolves, I've been buzzing for this game. I've been like, bring on Leverkusen. I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to it. Bring it on. I've had a bit of a soft spot for Leverkusen for, 10 years ago is when I got into German football because we played Schalke. I went over to Germany for the tournament where we played Schalke and Malaga. Got beat. But that's when I was like, I quite like it. I'm going to get into German football now. In that first season, when I first watched German football, I almost fell in love. And this is dirty. I fell in love with Son at Leverkusen. Then he went to Spurs. So when he went to Spurs, I was like, pissed. That's like my favourite player from the Bundesliga. But anyway, so I always had a bit of a soft spot for Leverkusen. I tried to sort of support Schalke, but it's not really worked. But anyway, right, time to discuss West Ham team news. No Edson Alvarez for this one. He's suspended for the first leg. However, he's available for the game at the London Stadium. It looks like we're going to be without Jarrod Bowen, though. The news coming out earlier on today is that he's hurt his spine. He's got a bruised spine, and he looks like he could miss 2 to 3 weeks. And not only could he miss this one, there's a possibility he will miss the game at the London Stadium as well. So a huge blow for Jarrod Bowen. Fingers crossed the news is perhaps false to throw Leverkusen off the scent. This is something West Ham have done before, where we sort of blag team news a little bit. Also, question marks over Alphonse Areola is still yet to return, despite it's supposed to be a small groin issue against Newcastle. He's sustained, still absent from the team that face Wolves at the weekend. So I think what we do, Gonzo, is we quickly fly through what we would do with Jarrod Bowen.
Yeah.
And then we'll go in a bit more in depth with what we'll do without Jarrod Bowen, which is the more likely scenario. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Right, let's fly through this one. Your team selection with Jarrod Bowen in goal and your defence, please.
Right, well, if he's fit, I'd take Areola in goal. I would play Johnson right back. I'd play Mavropanos, Zuma, Emerson. It would be a back four. You'd have, obviously, no Edson Alvarez. So you'd have to have James Ward-Prowse next to Thomas Souček. But you'd have...
Bowen?
No.
On the right,
Paqueta on the right, 10. Antonio up front, Kudus on the left, and Paqueta would have to be in a number 10. So that would be the
I completely agree with Gonzo's 11, by the way. That's 11 we'd like to see if Jarrod Bowen's available. But given the likely circumstances, which is there's no Jarrod Bowen, that's what we're going to discuss. But before we do, so I'm pointing in the direction, no sponsor of an event. I want to point in the direction of an event on Thursday evening where you can come and join myself and Gonzo to watch the game together, but also a little bit of a build-up show. We normally do a build-up show live on YouTube, and there still will be a build-up show live on YouTube for those not attending the game or coming to the event on Thursday. So if you're at home, don't worry, there's still a build-up show. Just myself and Gonzo will be absent. We're bringing our build-up show from the screen to you in person at the Colour Factory in Hackney Wick. If you wish to grab a ticket, you can do. The link is in the description below and the pinned comment. We'll go live for about half an hour. We'll be on the stage from about 7 p.m-ish, half an hour, discussing the West Ham team, the Leverkusen game, and just a little build up to the game as we usually do. Then we'll shut up and switch off, and we'll let the DJ play. He'll bang out the tunes, the Chitty Chitty version of Blowing Bubbles, the Jarrod Bowen on Fire song will get played, all that stuff, all the music, the atmosphere will build up. Then we'll watch the game together on the big screen. It's very important that if you do want to join the Hammers Chat bit, you buy a ticket for the Hammers Chat section. If you go on there, there's various different tickets, but there's one that clearly states the Hammers Chat screening. Make sure you buy a ticket for that area, or you will not be able to get into the Hammers Chat area without that ticket. However, if you want to come along to an event, but you don't want me and Gonzo, there's general admission tickets as well. There's 3 big screens downstairs. Food's available, lots of bars. There's not much queues for bars either. We were there for the Conference League final. It was a fantastic event. So if you're coming along to this one, get your ticket. And if you come to this one, you can go to the home leg event, which is, there's nothing on at the home leg. It's just a pub, a meeting place. You will get free entry. But also, should we make the semi-finals and final, you'll be given priority and discount for those events if you attend this one on Thursday. Link in the description below. And myself and Gonzo look forward to meeting as many of you there as possible. Always a pleasure to meet new people. Right, Gonzo, this is where it gets interesting. Without Jarrod Bowen, so I'm going to assume your goalkeeper remains Alphonse Areola.
Yeah.
And you've got a bit of a decision. Do you stick with the back 4 or do you switch to back 3? What would you like to see occur?
Well, I think we have to go back 3 because it brings some extra creativity that we're going to lose with Jarrod Bowen. So, I would, with that back 5, if you want to call it that we finished the game against Wolves, I would be doing that with Areola in goal, basically. So
for those that didn't see it, would you like to talk us through the outfield 10?
The outfield 10, I'm still thinking this up as I'm going along, but I know the back 5. So it would be Ben Johnson at right wing back. It would be Konstantinos Mavropanos at right centre back. I like that. No one usually says that. I do. Centre back would be Kurt Zuma, and left centre back would be Aaron Cresswell, and left wing back would be Emerson.
And into midfield?
Oh, this is tough. Okay, so I'm going to have to go with, obviously, Thomas Souček is going to have to play next to... Thomas Souček's going to have to play, obviously, next to James Ward-Prowse, who I thought performed well in that position. Which is... how many we got? Lucas Paquetá's playing. Antonio's playing, Kudus is playing, which leaves 1 player by my guesstimations.
No, it does not.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
That is it. That's your
Well, we might need 1 extra player. Actually, I think we need 12 to try and beat Leverkusen. Yeah, that's it. That's my team.
Even your 1 extra player still don't want to see Calvin Phillips. I'd rather just have 11. Thanks. You can have 12. You want? No, it's fine. We'll just go with 11. Thank you.
Yeah, I like. To be fair, I like my 3-5-3 formation.
Just for legal reasons, that was a joke. I have a lot of sympathy for Calvin Phillips at the minute before someone said I hate Calvin Phillips. I have the same 11, but a different way of playing initially, but it's within mind that you can switch. So I would start with Ben Johnson right back, Mavropanos and Zuma centre back, and Aaron Cresswell left back, and then Souček and Ward-Prowse in midfield, Kudus on the right, Emerson on the left, Paquetá on the number 10, and Michail Antonio up front. And the reason for that is to keep Paquetá in that number 10 position. However, if it wasn't working, I would switch to what Gonzo's done, which is just move Cresswell back, move Emerson back, and then Paquetá comes sort of out to the left a little bit, because going sort of 3-4-3 as Gonzo has, you will match up Leverkusen man for man. And I do worry a little bit that they would beat us. They're quite central, Leverkusen's team. They tend to play down the middle. They're not very crossy. They don't tend to get the ball out wide and start sticking crosses in, understandably so. They tend to go through the central to Hoffman and Wirtz, and that's where I think it'll cause us a little bit of bother. But I'd like to try and keep Paquetá in the number 10 role. However, if he's not performing or we're being overrun, then I'd switch to what Gonzo said, just to sort of defensively get a little bit tighter in there. So that's what we would do without Jarrod Bowen. Get involved in the comments below. Let us know the 11 you would like to see with and without Jarrod Bowen. Right then, Gonzo. How are you feeling ahead of this game?
Yeah, I mean, nervous, really nervous about it. There's no doubt about that. It feels like an event. It feels like an occasion. I don't know if that's because
Well, there is one on Thursday.
I know. I was going to say I don't know if that's
Good
because
plug.
we're going to an event, but I think even if I was sat at home, it would feel like an occasion. I think it's going to be nervous. I think we're going to do this event. We're going to do our build-up show, and I think there's going to be nerves in the room, and I think that's probably quite natural, actually. I think they're favourites, and you can make a lot of cases. You could look at them and make a lot of cases for them to win this, and they probably should. However, let me just make a couple of cases for West Ham here, which is what I'm going to do. I do. First of all, you've got to look at what we did to Freiburg. When we play at our best, we're a really, really good team. And I'm not suggesting we're better than Bayern Munich, but when we're at our best, we are better than most of the teams they play.
Yeah.
A winning run can't go on forever. What we certainly do have is, particularly in the form of Mohamed Kudus and in the form of Lucas Paquetá, are a couple of players that are probably better than the majority of the players that they play against week in, week out. I think we are going to miss Edson Alvarez, don't get me wrong, which means we've got to get through this. But we do have some really fine footballers. We really do. I also do think that I think it wouldn't be human nature. See, to not concentrate on their first Bundesliga title, you must be thinking about it. You have to. And whilst I wouldn't necessarily throw that accusation that at Xabi Alonso, for instance, who's been there, he's played for big clubs, he's played in big games, obviously won the Champions League. But it doesn't mean everybody at the club is impervious to nerves. I think there will be. I think there was an element maybe of West Ham against Wolves in the first half. Yeah, I think sometimes we were fatigued from no subs against Tottenham. But I do think that some of our players had their eye on Thursday night. Thursday night is not Leverkusen's biggest occasion. It's Saturday. Sunday when they play on Sunday against Werder Bremen. That's the big one for them at the moment. And some of their players, and it might just be 1 or 2%, some of their players might be looking towards that. So I do think there might be a slight distraction there. I'm clutching at straws here because they're such favourites and they have such good players that I think everybody's thinking West Ham are going to get steamrolled and there's not room for any confidence. But there is room for hope, though. I really do. I think we've got a good set of players. I think we're probably at our best. We're tough to play against as well. I think we've done all right against the Bundesliga teams this season. And I think we've got some really good players. And I think if we can keep it tight and get back to our place, then we do have half a chance. But it is half a chance. I'm not saying we're going to beat them. I do think they're favourites.
I think the problem with this game is we could play fantastic and still lose because Bayer Leverkusen are that good. There's a reason they're unbeaten this season. I would argue they've got the better starting 11, which is not something you can say often whenever it's the first time this season in European football. I can say the opposition probably have the better starting 11 than what we do, and especially their bench. Their bench is going to be stacked compared to ours. It's perfectly feasible that on the bench on Thursday night, Bayer Leverkusen are going to have Schick, Andrik, Adli, Teller, players that would probably get a game at West Ham. They've got the better squad and the better first 11, in my opinion. Not everyone will agree, that's fine, but in my opinion, they do. So even if we play really well, we could still get beat. And that's never the best feeling in the world because I prefer it when we play really well, we will win. But when we played Freiburg, if we turn up and play well, we win that game. And we did, convincingly. However, I don't have that. You say you're nervous. I'm just really excited for this game. I don't have any nerves whatsoever for it. I'm more nervous about qualifying for European football next season via the league. That's where my nerves lie. But my excitement for this game is sky high, actually, because I like maths, I like statistics, and I like data. I don't rely on it, but I like it. And the probability of Xabi Alonso in his first full season as a senior manager, which is a bit disrespectful to Real Sociedad B, perhaps, but a manager of a third-tier Spanish team. I'm not taking that as the same as being manager by Leverkusen. His first full season as Bayer Leverkusen manager, to go unbeaten and to win the title, to win the Europa League, and to win the German Cup, because they're in the final of the German Cup, it's unlikely. It's unlikely. It's probable there's a defeat somewhere. And it only needs to be one. And I just hope it's at the London Stadium next Thursday. I really do. I hope that at the end of the season, when it throws up that graphic on social media, when it's WWL, WWWDD, WWW, there's a red L in there, and it's just one of it, and it's us. We've done it. And I think we can do it at the London Stadium. I really do. I think we can take this tie alive back. And it's just, I've just got this Sevilla vibes about it. When we went to Sevilla, I remember doing the preview where we sat there and we both said, if we can lose 1-0, that's an all right result. Get it back home and let's do it. And we did it. Yes, we needed extra time, but I don't really care at the end of the day. It's being in the next round. And
we had a good night as well. Let's be fair.
You had a good night. That video still gets commented on today. Every now and again, there'll be a comment. Was Gonzo pissed?
Do you think
it's literally called Gonzo drunk at half time? But just now and again, people just find it. But anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of romance in football is dead. Yeah, the FA Cup it's not the same as it was. A lot of it's been sucked out by modernisation, by VAR, etc., etc. For some people, fan channels have sucked the romance out of football. But it's still there. And I think this tie is the romance for me. This is what football's about for me. Dreaming of being the first team to beat Bayer Leverkusen and reach the semi-finals of the Europa League. Yes, please. I'm buzzing for this one. Honestly, Gonzo, I cannot wait for it. I'm really excited. And, we're recording this on Tuesday morning. I don't know what I'm going to be like on Thursday morning. When we do the breakfast show on Patreon, bloody hell. Turn down the volume. I am going to be bouncing with excitement. I cannot wait to get out of here on Thursday and get down to Hackney Wick and get excited for the game. Bring it on. That's what I say. Doesn't mean I think we'll win, but I guess that's what we're going to discuss. Can I get any final words as well as your all-important score prediction for this game? Not for the tie, just for this game.
Yeah, look, they're a formidable foe. They really are. They're there to be respected and admired. And do you know what? There's not too many clubs that I find that with, because normally I can, particularly with English clubs, I can find an angle to, even if I think they're good, to dislike them. I mean, to be fair, you could argue, that Arsenal, in terms of what they've done, there's an admiration, but I can't do it because of all the reasons that I've said before. But, I look at this lot and I think, yeah, actually, there's a lot to like there. And I am a little bit fearful ahead of the game, it has to be said, but we are the European champions here in this tie. Let's get that right. Okay, they're the novices. We're the champions. We've got some pedigree. We've been doing this now for the last 3 years, and we know what we're doing in Europe. And there's definitely a chance of us doing something. We've got some damn fine players. And I think we can keep it alive for the second leg. Moyes is good at this stuff. He's good at the European stuff. And he's shown that. You can even go all the way back to Frankfurt, and you can make real mitigation there. I don't think you're clutching at straws to think that, I think there's 3 or 4 things that went into that made that ultimately the defeat that made us not get to the final. And I can make a case for that, and I can make a case for us actually getting and winning that year as well. And we won it last year. So semi-final, we can final then winning it. And here we are in the quarterfinals. So if they think we're going to turn up and we're going to roll over and have our tummies tickled, they got another thing coming. I don't think Alonso will. But I've been reading all week. I say all week, it's only Tuesday. All week I've been reading the German press. They are cocky, and there's one thing I've got to say about them and their social media accounts and the way even the Bundesliga run their official website. They're not like the Premier League. They really beat the drum for their teams, in a way that the Premier League don't. I just never notice it. I never see the Premier League basically telling the rest of the world why who Man City playing?
Real Madrid.
There you go. There's probably a reason for that. But, they're not, the Premier League on the website not saying, basically telling everybody why Man City are going to absolutely trounce Real Madrid. There's a pride in Germany behind all of their teams when they play in Europe, and there's something different going on there. And believe you me, we don't stand a chance. I've read so much of this. They barely gets mentioned that we won that trophy last season. So I think there's a little glimmer of hope there. I think the way you read it is honestly like the 1970s Brazil World Cup team is about to play the crown and anchor. That's how it's being put. And do you know what? I'm not sure they are 1970s Brazil, and we're certainly not the crown and anchor. So do we stand a chance? We really do stand a chance. And I think if we're tactically sound and we turn up and we call on our reserves of experience, that's a lot of players in our team, think, okay, we know this is familiar. Whatever crappy UEFA anthem's going to be playing before the match. I think, hold on, I recognise this. I couldn't recall it now. I wish it was the other anthem, but it's okay. I don't think we're going to shrink. I really don't. I think we're going to stand up. I think we're going to be counted. I think we'll carry something into the second game, and I think you may well find that this is a 2-1 Leverkusen win.
Interesting. So you say West Ham win there. You really get me a bit excited.
Oh,
you scammed me a little bit. You tricked me. Con man. But listen. There's three big worries I've got, and two are linked. One is that Jarrod Bowen. That's a huge blow. I think my optimism would be greater if we had Jarrod Bowen available for Thursday. He's our most clinical player, and obviously this is. It didn't take a genius to work out that the chances of West Ham scoring and therefore winning decreases without Jarrod Bowen. So that's a blow. And the other one is Edson Alvarez missing, but also the consequences of that, which is my second reason, my third reason. And it's just that Leverkusen love picking up that pockets of space behind your midfield and in front of the defence. So much so that in regards to where Alonso said numerous times now, I can't coach him. Like he's so good, he's uncoachable.
Yeah.
Like, what he does, that's not me. That's just him. And it's not very often a player is that good that somebody like Alonso, who's been there and done that and won everything, feels like he can't contribute to this guy's game. And he's 20 years old. But Hoffman and Wirtz are just hovering behind Boniface in front of our defence, behind our midfield. And I just don't trust Souček and James Ward-Prowse. I just do not trust them. I think they played well against Spurs. But for half of that game, Paqueta was next to Thomas Souček and James Ward-Prowse was further forward. And also, I think Tottenham were really wing-based. I thought Paul Onyedoghi was coming in there and they were giving the ball out to Timo and Brennan Johnson quite a lot. And there was a lot of crosses coming in, which we dealt with well.
Yeah.
Just don't think Leverkusen are going to do that. I think they'll be a lot more patient, a lot more build up down the middle of the pitch. Sure. And I'm just not sure. I can trust Mavropanos and Zuma to clear crosses. I trust them. I'm not sure I trust Souček and Ward-Prowse to keep an eye on Hoffman and Wirtz enough, and also Zuma and Mavropanos to cope with Boniface and those attacking midfielders from Leverkusen. However, the one thing that does give me hope is the games I have seen Leverkusen stutter in this season, and they've got through them, is against low block sides that they can sometimes be a little bit, sounds weird saying this, Man City-esque in the sense that it's very patient, but they can sometimes struggle. They usually find a way, but I agree with Gonzo. 8th place, or a couple of weeks ago, 8th place in the Bundesliga was Freiburg. We've seen how compatible mid-table is in the Bundesliga and the Premier League with us and Freiburg. It's a different kettle of fish. We will be one of the best teams they've faced this season. Yep. Can they do it? Yes. Can we do it? I hope so. I agree with Gonzo. I think we'll lose 2-1. However, I think that's a result which can be overturned at the London Stadium. So while we might be a little bit pessimistic with our scorelines for this Thursday, doesn't mean it doesn't equate to us getting knocked out. So there you go. That's it. Anything you want to add, Gonzo, before we finish up?
No, I think we've covered it all, mate. It's getting exciting. The whole week is dominated by this fixture. So, yeah, looking forward to it, mate.
Anyway, there you go. We will be live. Well, me and Gonzo won't be. Hammers Chat will be live on Thursday night with the build-up show, then the review immediately after. The Charlie will be doing a watch-along as always. But if you want to come and see me and Gonzo live, get your ticket. Link is in the description and the pinned comments. And hope to see some of you there. But make sure you get a ticket for the Hammers Chat section. If you've enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like, comment by clicking thumbs up. Helps out the video, helps out the channel, makes me and Gonzo very happy. Subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat and get involved in the comments. Let us know the 11 you want to see, any big hopes and fears you have ahead of the game, and also the all-important score prediction. Catch you in a bit.